Hello and welcome to the March 31st episode of Beacon Web News. I'm Sym Kehr. On Wednesday, March 24th at 8 p.m., a temporary lockdown was placed on the MCLA Townhouse complex due to an increase in COVID cases on campus. The lockdown is scheduled to be lifted at 7 a.m. on Monday, April 5th. Reporter Sara spoke with Vice President of Student Affairs, Holbrook, and Vice President of Strategic Initiatives, Gina on what this means for all residential students and what led to this decision.
On Tuesday, March 24th at 4:05 p.m., the campus community received word from Gina, Vice President of Strategic Initiatives, that there has been an uptick in COVID cases, and as a result, the Townhouse residency area will be placed into lockdown. As the cases seem to be isolated to the flagged Townhouse apartments, all Townhouse students were tested the following day. Put in effect on March 24th, all Townhouse residents were placed in a targeted lockdown to prevent the further spread of COVID-19. These 242 students will remain in a stay-in-place restriction until 7 a.m. on Monday, April 5th. Gina and Holbrook met with BWN to expand on the lockdown and what it will entail for these students, and to expand on the status of the outbreak.
But right now we're dealing with 17 cases. 15 of those are on-campus residents.
An email sent to students informed them that the classroom in our hybrid model is not the source of transmission.
Sara, we are concerned about the health of the community. So our first reaction to a positive case is not to pursue it from a contact perspective. It's to contact trace. It's to get them to be honest with us about who their social contacts are, because if they're not, someone else could be running around unknown with the virus, infecting other people.
At the beginning, it is social activity within the Townhouse complex, and that's become abundantly clear through our contact tracing protocol.
Because last semester we would have isolated cases in any residence hall where someone would test positive, and we would be concerned about their housemates in the townhouse, and there would be no spread. We had absolutely no identifiable spread from one positive student to another in the fall and in most of the spring semester.
This lockdown has presented many challenges for MCLA students. Isaiah Shanira is a senior living in the townhouses. The lockdown came as a surprise to him and definitely caused a change in his routine.
Definitely boring. It definitely sucks not being able to go out and see a few of my friends, especially when I've been doing my end on my half to stay safe, and it's unfortunate.
Any sense of normalcy has once again been put on hold to ensure the health and safety of the campus community. Senior Joni McEnany is looking forward to getting out of her dorm and back into the classroom.
It definitely gets really boring and kind of annoying that the one thing that I had to get me out of the house, like go to classes and stuff like that and go to my job, I can't do those right now. I think my courses definitely got kind of jolted around because of the lockdown. The disruption in this classes kind of felt like last year when we got sent home, and some of them definitely were prepared for this kind of thing to happen, but it definitely threw some of my other ones.
The coronavirus pandemic has been affecting MCLA students for over a year and causing hardships in all aspects of their lives. This unprecedented time is strange and difficult for us all. If you're struggling, MCLA has resources to help you. Be sure to reach out. MCLA is here to help you. Students employed on campus will be compensated for their lost wages through student employment. If your off-campus job has been affected by the lockdown, look into applying for the Lost Wages Fund. Remember, wear your mask, wash your hands, and stay 6 feet apart. MCLA will get through this together. For Beacon Web News, I'm Sara.
On Monday, March 9th, the MCLA Public Safety Department opened an outreach office on the third floor of the campus center. On March 25th, Public Safety announced through their Facebook page that the office would close after hearing concerns from some student groups. I spoke with Public Safety and students to see how they feel about the closure of the space, and how Public Safety and students are discussing ways to move forward with future plans for outreach efforts.
It was very disheartening, and I say disheartening because we were so excited about it. And I think maybe in our excitement, some things kind of slipped through the cracks, and some of it was an us thing, and some of it may have been an administration thing, insofar as, if you had that crystal ball knowing that there would be these sorts of feelings and maybe adverse reactions, that maybe there should have been a little bit more of the PRing, the public relations part of rolling this out.
Black Student Union has a podcast entitled MCLA's The Black Experience. Their episode Community Outreach Reaching Nowhere was released on March 18th.
So I had sent the episode along to Christopher McDonald Dennis, who's our Chief Diversity Officer, and Arlene Theodore, who is the head of MERC, the Multicultural Education and Resource Center. And they spread it to a bunch of faculty members and to professors, to the higher ups, and they helped us to get what needed to be done.
Right. We understand people's concerns, and that we listened, and so we decided to close the office until we could find a more suitable location. It was never our intent to cause that kind of concern or anxiety. You think you're doing one thing, and it's great, and for some members of our community, it had the opposite effect, right? That was never ever our design.
Students felt heard that public safety closed the space after concerns were raised.
I really appreciated the administration and public safety for taking our voices seriously and taking our concerns seriously. And I thought that it was a really good move on the part of public safety to kind of listen to us and move the office. And I think that they said that they're finding a new space, which I think is good. It's not that we didn't want for there to be a community outreach center, because we know that it's important to public safety to be able to talk to students and, kind of start forming these relations. Our issue was with the location and the placement of the office.
I think they should reopen. I feel like they have good intentions and what the outcome for the community outreach will be.
There's a police oversight committee that is looking into whether the public outreach office is viable for the MCLA community and how to go about reopening.
And I think we're still trying to orchestrate that and what that's going to look like and how we do get the feedback, because that's crucial to us. Is we want to know where and how students think this should happen, because at the end of the day, it's for you. It's for the student body. It's not for the campus police department. So we want to know where you guys think would be a good place for us, and where you think it'd be the most effective, if it's even a viable thing, like Chief Colano says. Yeah, it's going to go to probably this committee that I'm on for discussion and debate, which students are on. I believe there's 4 students that serve on this committee with me. And I know that Chief Colano and the other sergeants are going to be meeting with SGA in April, I believe, for kind of an open forum sort of discussion. So I'm sure maybe that'll come up then for some conversation, which would be great. But so yeah, we'll go back to the drawing board based on the feedback that we get from student body and faculty even as well.
Brianna Christie feels this will reduce tensions if students are included in the process.
I think there will be that tension if they do take proper steps to include students, because I feel like the fact that Kathy Holbrook knew, and also the chief of police knew, but no one else on campus knew what was happening. It was in the sense like that analogy of a wolf in sheep's clothing, like no one knew the intentions, no one knew what the outcome was. It was just there. So I feel like if, campus, the population and like students, faculty and staff know what the outreach is supposed to do and like the resources that they have, then it's obviously like more upfront and people know what the intentions are.
Public safety will still continue to work on public outreach, whether the office reopens or not.
So our outreach efforts are going to continue no matter what, either way. We took a swing at something, we missed, we're going to keep on swinging until we hit something. So, but student feedback is crucial to this process.
Catherine Rimshaw, an alum of MCLA and author of The Leadership Decision, spoke at a virtual event hosted by the MCLA Alumni Association on March 25th. This conversation with MCLA English professor Paul Lesage discussed what it means to be a leader. Reporter May Craig attended the event to learn more about Rimshaw and her book.
On Wednesday, March 25th, the MCLA Alumni Association hosted a virtual conversation with Catherine Rimshaw and MCLA's English and Communications professor Paul Lesage. Rimshaw talked about her new book, Leadership Decision, and what it means to be a leader.
People do choose to be a leader. And when I got out of MCLA and went and started taking my grad program at Northeastern, part of me thought, well, this is going to be a waste of time, because let's face it, you're either born a leader or you're not. There's really no in between. And then, since I've been looking at this more and studying it and living it myself and trying to navigate my own career and talking about this with friends and really having these experiences, I've seen some folks who are pretty accomplished. Like I said, these folks have gone to like MIT and have PhDs from Harvard and like really know their stuff. And some of them are phenomenal leaders. And I've worked with some folks that have similar educations and they're not. And then I think about, well, what makes one person, regardless of where they've gone to school, because at the end of the day, you can go to school anywhere. It's just how hard you're going to work once you get out, be extraordinary leaders. And yet some people aren't. And I do think that's where leadership and being a leader and trying to use skill sets and trying to develop a leadership mentality does come down to that simple choice. Like, do I really want to live my life this way and lead people this way and be an example because I see and feel a benefit in doing this versus not? And I think that's okay for people to say too, because I think so many times people get pushed into leadership from like the corporate standpoint and don't really understand what that entails. And then they fail at it. And yet some people who are great leaders never are given that opportunity to lead from the formality of having a title, but yet lead each and every day. So it's not a title thing. It really comes down to this kind of idea of whether or not you want to lead, you want to live your life like this, which is something I talk about in the book about like a leadership lifestyle and what that entails. About, when you decide to make decisions as a leader, you want to be confident in your own self-awareness and have a strong fitting on how you're being perceived by others. But there's also another element to that too, is that if we get too comfortable in simply relying on our own kind of self-awareness and we're not getting feedback from how others are perceiving us, it creates a blind spot that can be pretty detrimental to our careers and to our leadership. Thinking about where your career is and where you want it to go, but being very mindful of your decisions. And that was the key highlight of writing my book and trying to get people to be more conscientious of the decisions that they're making, the impact that they have, and ways that we can further use our decisions, regardless of where we are in our careers, if we're a student or not, to be more mindful of who we are as leaders and how that's being perceived. And I think because of my decisions at MCLA and decisions now and decisions that I'm trying to make others make as it relates to their leadership is hopefully a message that resonates and really helps people feel like they're able to make a difference in their lives, whether they actually feel like that can happen.
For Beacon Web News, I'm Meg Craig.
That's it for this week. To stay up to date with BWN, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/MCLA BWN. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.